What's better, this or this? Today we're going to be comparing the new Challengers movie with the Carl's Jr. El Diablo Burger. And you might be thinking to yourself, why are you comparing a film and a food together? They don't even have anything in common. Well, first of all, this burger cost me over $20 on Uber Eats. And you know what else costs $20? An AMC Stubs pass that I can watch 3 movies a week on. And second of all, these two consumer products do have something in common, and that's that they are both supposed to be spicy. First of all, the flavor is good because it is a big burger stacked with 2 patties, multiple kinds of cheeses, jalapeno poppers, bacon, jalapeños, and some kind of spicy sauce. However, is it spicy? Well, on a spicy level of Napoleon Dynamite to that one scene in Wild Things, I think I would give this like a ladybird. So I declare this burger not that spicy. But how will the movie Challengers fare on the spicy scale? Because if you've seen any of the trailers for this movie, you will get the impression that this is the second coming of 50 Shades of Grey. But I do have to tell you, and this might be a little bit of a spoiler, but I think you should be warned. If the only reason you want to see this movie is because of that 3 scene, you're gonna be disappointed, let's just say that. Because there are actually no scenes in this movie. And a lot of you who've already seen the movie might be like, I want my money back because of that. Well, shut up, you pervert, because that doesn't mean the movie's not spicy. Because the director, who's also the director of Call Me By Your Name, is a master at shooting sensual shots, making sexual tension just pop out of the screen. And you can clearly see influence on his work from movies like La Piscine, which he actually made a remake of called A Bigger Splash. Because in La Piscine, there's so much sexual tension built up in the surface because of the way the director shoots these people and the way they look at each other and their bodies dripping with pool water. And I think it's clear that movies like this have had an influence on Luca's directing as well. So on a spicy scale of mayonnaise to the hottest flavor of Nashville hot chicken, I would give this a solid jalapeno with seeds. It's pretty spicy because the director knows how to shoot sensual scenes. And honestly, so do I. Just take a look at this hefty, massive piece of meat, oozing with oozy cheese and dripping with juices. Actually, to be honest, this burger is very dry. Not only is the cheese kind of not melted properly, but the jalapeno poppers actually don't have any cheese in them. I was hoping that these would be overflowing with gooey goodness, but there's nothing oozing out of these. The only thing that's not dry about this burger is the bacon, and I kind of wish it was more dry because it's really wiggly. The meat is honestly hard to swallow. Speaking of hard to swallow, let's talk about Challengers, because this movie is not hard to swallow at all. Even though there are about 10 time jumps in this movie at least, it's not hard to follow. The movie is structured in a way where it kind of starts at the end and then goes back a little bit, and then it jumps forward, and then it goes back even more, and then it jumps a little bit forward, and then it jumps all the way to the end again. And it's just this mesmerizing puzzle of relationships and intricate things. And it's just this very interesting puzzle of interweaving relationships that, and it's just this very it's just a very interesting way to show all of these interweaving relationships and the evolution of all 3 of them, and it's very engaging the entire time. And one of the things that makes it so engaging is this intrusive, thumping soundtrack it has. It is this EDM kind of soundtrack that's scored by Trent Reznor, and every time it kicks in, your focus is on the screen. It grabs your attention and it makes you feel the underlying sexual tension, the heart's pumping, the blood just flowing through these people's veins as they look into each other's eyes. But I will say the music cues kind of get a little annoying the longer the movie runs because they kind of kick in at almost random moments. I see what they're trying to do in some of these situations, but for example, there's this one sauna scene where the 2 main guy characters are talking, and this thumping EDM soundtrack just pops in out of nowhere. And I get it, it's like a sexual tension kind of thing because they're both in a sauna naked and they kind of have feelings for one another, but it's abrupt and loud, and I think that's one of the only knocks I have against this movie, honestly. But speaking of sound, you know who's also really good at making sounds with their mouth? Me. We're going into ASMR mode now. Just listen to the crunch of this bacon. That is hard to swallow. Ugh. You know, for something so dry, it's actually pretty greasy too. I have been having to wipe my hands off so much fiddling with the camera and getting these shots. I'm sure my camera is absolutely ruined at this point because there's grease in the gears. So you could say in a way, it's lubricated. And you know what else is lubricated? The final scene in Challengers. It is smooth as butter. The editing is amazing. The shots are so creative and unique. There's a couple shots where the camera is beneath the tennis court, looking up at these two players playing tennis as if the floor was just glass. And there's this super cool shot where the camera becomes the tennis ball as they hit it back and forth. And that last scene is the epitome of saying so much without saying anything at all, because these two kids are playing tennis and they are fighting over Zendaya's love and they are not saying anything. All of the emotion, all of the tension is just expressed through the tennis and the way that people hold the ball to their racket, the way that they serve, the emotions on their face when they try to spike the ball. It is a brilliant scene, and one that I think should be studied in film schools for how to express emotion without dialogue. And speaking of the ending, I think I'm done with this because that's not great. The meat's dry, the jalapeno poppers are dry, the bacon is not dry, the flavor is there, but it is kind of hard to swallow. So on my fast food burgers tier list, I give this a C. And I also give Challengers a C for sexy. No, that was stupid. I think Challengers is a really great movie, honestly. There's only one thing I'm kind of on the fence about, and that's the very end of the movie. So spoilers if you don't want heavy spoilers. The movie ends with a volley that ends with Mike Fast jumping over the net trying to spike the ball, and it makes it look like he's actually just gonna smash his racket into James O'Connor's face, but instead, they just embrace each other. He falls down on James O'Connor and they just hug. And then Zendaya is like, yes! And I think that's a little weird. You wouldn't really see that in real life. It's like the entire movie up until that point is very grounded in reality. And then that ending is like, that's not gonna happen in real life. He's not gonna be happy that he slept with Zendaya. But as a theme of the movie and the themes of all of them like sharing this sexual tension and all of them kind of being attracted to one another, I think it works. It's just a little jarring because the entire movie is pretty grounded in reality again. So I gave Challengers a 4.5 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd. If I could, it'd probably be more like 4.25. And I ranked it number 2 on my Letterboxd favorite movies of 2004 list. So please guys, I'm begging you, in the comments, comment stuff. Comment on what you thought of the ending. Comment on if you thought the movie was sexy or not. Comment on if your burger was just as dry as mine. And subscribe and like and all that stuff, because if you guys don't do that, I'll never make another video like this again. And you won't like that, trust me. Or maybe you will, I don't know. This is kind of a dumb format, huh?